about moving money, where he's really talking about doing it in an accountable way, in a way that makes an impact. And fast forward to today, I find myself in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, the United Republic of Tanzania, and I find no better place to mobilize capital and see the results than here. Not only is it the economic fundamentals, but also the country, the reforms, the culture of anti-corruption, the culture of accountability, the culture of just getting stuff done. And so with that being said, I find myself in a great audience, and I'd like to, I guess I didn't observe the protocols of saying thank you to the Honorable Minister for being here and giving us the opening remarks to set the tone for those investors who are also online following. We thank you for just paying attention to what's going on, and also for you to mobilize your own capital. And you can make money while also doing good and being accountable, and this is the place to do it. So that being said, I want to welcome the Honorable Minister to give us his opening remarks. Thank you.
Good evening, and I'm sure for online viewers, this is going to be good evening, it will be good afternoon, it will be good morning, depending where you are. Thank you very much, Thierry, for welcoming me to this stage, and of course for inviting me to make these opening remarks. I'm very pleased that you are able to put up this very important forum, and I will make a few remarks. And I wanted to begin by highlighting the fact that last year the World Bank issued the Global Investment Competitive Report. And in that report, which is quite big, I picked up one element which is very important for us. It highlighted the 14 elements in which investors across the globe rated as the most critically important factor they consider in terms of investing. And I wanted to pick up 5, which I think they're very relevant for Tanzania. And factor number 1 was the political stability. Political stability was rated by almost every investor as number 1 factor for them to consider investing in a particular context. And Tanzania, without exaggeration, without very much evidence, without very much research, obviously, is the most politically stable country in the East, South, and Central Africa. So factor number 1 really favors us very strongly in terms of asking investors across the globe to come and invest here. Our politics are predictable. You know what is going to happen tomorrow in terms of political stability, in terms of peace. If you put up your investment here, it is going to be secure, it is going to be safe, it will be protected because the politics are very good and very conducive. Number 2 from that report was the microeconomic stability. And Tanzania, 3 main things there is that for the past more than 10 years, our economy has been growing between 6 to 7% consistently. Even during the difficult period of the COVID pandemic, we were resilient. Our economy was somewhat resilient compared to other African countries. If you check the inflation, which is a very important factor for many investors, because they want their prices to be predictable today and tomorrow, our inflation rate has remained relatively within the acceptable range, single digit. And of course, as you're aware, last year, we were officially declared, not by us, but by the World Bank, that we had attained the low middle income status, which is very important, gives investors that we are making progress. So in terms of microeconomic stability, factors and indicators, you pick any, we are doing very, very well. And that was factor number 2 for many investors. The third one was legal and regulatory environment. And I have been speaking to various investors in the country, foreign and local ones. And a good number of them, they are telling me, Honorable Minister, your problem is not that you have very bad laws or regulations. I think, they say, they think that our legal and regulatory framework is pretty good. We may have challenges in the way we administer them, but legal framework is okay. But what is much more important is that this government is open to engaging the various stakeholders. If there are problems with any law, we are prepared to engage the private sector and any other stakeholder. We take it up and we address them. So that particular element is actually pretty much okay. And number 4 was the cost of labor, plus, of course, talent and skills. I can assure you that the labor force here, our median age right now is 17 to 18. So we have some of the youngest workforce in the region and globally, which means that getting people to work here is not a problem because we have quite a good number of young people, very energetic ones, and working very hard to ensure that they have the necessary skills to be able to undertake our whatever sector that we're investing in. So that point number 4 is very good. Number 5, which is critical for any investor, is the market size. As you know, Tanzania is the only country in the region here which belongs to more than one economic bloc. So we are a member of the East African Community. We are also a member of the South African Development Community. Combined together, you have access to close to 400 million market size in the region. And of course, we are the only country here in the region which has access. I mean, we are not a landlocked country. We are a gateway to 8 landlocked countries in the region. You can transport and export your products through various means. You can go through Mtwara, Tanga, or here in Dar es Salaam. So you'll be sure of exporting whatever you manufacture here quite comfortably and easily because we have access to the transport systems. So in terms of market, I think is pretty good. So I would go on from that report, but at least those 5 indicators, I think they favor Tanzania very well. Much more importantly, if I go back to the first point, I have been reading presidential inaugural speeches for the past 22 years. In this country, since we got independence, we have had 22 presidential inaugural speeches. In this country, that is the most important speech, a speech that is made at the inauguration of the parliament. We have never had a strong emphasis on investment since we got independence like the one we got last year. Our president made a special emphasis. That speech had 42 pages. Half of the pages of the document is devoted to economic development, and half of that one, he was talking about investment. We are much more open to welcoming investors from the very high-level political statement than ever before. So, investors, you have the commitment from our president that he needs to see investors coming to this country. They will be provided with all the necessary support. Lastly, we have a lot of investment opportunities. My colleagues will be later on highlighting in this forum. But you mentioned in terms of agriculture, we have the most arable land in the region, which you don't need a lot of agricultural inputs to produce. And this is critical, but also market for a lot of product that you're going to be producing. I will give you just one example. Say, for example, the edible oil. The market requirement in the country, the demand at the moment, we are talking of more than 500 metric tons annually. But we are currently producing only about 210 metric tons annually, which means we have a gap of almost 300 metric tons. And our the factories, the edible oil manufacturing factories, are currently operating a number of them at less than 40 to 30% installed capacity, which means in terms of agriculture, for any edible oil products, you'll have a readily made available market within. You don't need to think about too much exporting. So we have, and you can mention for many other products, you go to wheat, you go to rice, very critical. At the moment, here in the East African region and in SADC, our rice is the most sought after rice. Best rice that you can produce in the region. So in agriculture, I don't want to mention a lot of products, but actually it is one of the countries in the region with a very good support environment for that matter. Of course, you can go to mining. I don't want to tell you a lot about the mining. We are among the 5 largest gold producing countries in Africa. But what is much more important for us, almost every mining we're going to think about in this country, it will be there. And now our president is pushing for opening up of refinery plants in the country, be it for gold or other minerals. So we welcome investors to work with us in the mining sector. Manufacturing is perhaps one of the most critical areas that we would like to work with investors in terms of investing in our country. I think we have a lot of manufacturing aspects. You mentioned every aspect, and my colleagues later, they will be taking you through a number of manufacturing areas that we think we can work together with you. What is important here is that we are prepared, and that is why I've been assigned. My portfolio is called Minister of State, which means that I'm actually not the minister. The minister is the president himself. So the Minister of State in the president's office, which means investment is one of the most important elements that the president has put. We have only 3 portfolios that are directly being supervised by the president himself. It is this investment, local government, and the public service. So this is critical, which means that the country has placed investment as one of the most important elements. And my role is to ensure that the investment climate is positive, friendly, supportive to investors. We'll be working with you, all investors from every corner of the world, to ensure that you get the facilitated environment, the best possible environment that you can invest. Our aim is to make Tanzania one, if not the best, attractive investment destination, not just in Africa, but also globally, because we have all that it takes for investors to invest in this country. I look forward to interactive, interesting, friendly, engaging discussions. I will be happy to respond to questions that you may have about investing in this country. I thank you for listening, and welcome to the forum. Thank you.